Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Hyams here. Bob Stewart nowhere to be found. That's right, my friends. It's another Bobless episode. That should be a term. Maybe we'll hashtag Bobless or something along those lines. You know what that means, though. That means a lot of fun is about to happen because it's going to be me and our guest, and we are going to talk about, well, we're going to talk about a lot of shit in a few minutes, and you'll see why I'm saying it just that way. Folks, I have had a conversation with about 4 different people in the last week alone, and the message that's come out of it has been the Wealth series. Now, many of you went through Wealth 2 when we redid it, rebooted it, made it a bigger double size and all of that, yet you went through it once and thought you got it. I'm challenging you to go through the Wealth series one more time, all 16 episodes. Get the workbook out because you should be doing your net worth tracker and all the other things on a regular basis if you want success. You can find the shortcut to that at winmakegive.com/wealth. All right, enough with the promo stuff. Let's get to it. I am bringing on to a call today a gentleman who by the end of this call, I have this feeling you're going to have laughed a few times and learned a whole bunch of stuff, we'll just say. I want to welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast, Frank Sell. Frank, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, everybody. Man, I appreciate being here, Chad, and I'm excited just to share some stories and get shit done.
There you go. Folks, if your kids are in the back seat for this episode, you're going to hear that word regular times because it's part of one of Frank's company's names. So you'll be hearing us mention it. Just make sure your kids know what we're talking about. Frank, before we dive into it, I know who you are. I've talked to you for a few moments. I've read information on you. They're surprised. They might not know who Frank Sell is before they heard this episode. Introduce yourself however it is you want to, because I'm not reading the fancy bio stuff.
Right on. I don't know how much there is to tell, but I'm Frank Sell, the 4th. My son's the 5th. My dad's the 3rd. So you want to talk about pressure, about living legacy. Let's talk about it. So that's a lot of my mindset because they say, in life, really, there's 3 levels of motivation that people talk about. One of them is kind of when you're younger, you're the material things. Look at my shiny toys. The second phase of legacy or thinking is that, well, look at what I've done. Look at my name on the building and so on. And the third level of motivation and legacy is, what are people going to remember about me, in 50 years? And so that's in my forefront every day because my dad took care of the name for me, Frank Sell. He's been self-employed pretty much my whole life. Since 1977. I was born in 75. My kids are 20, 21. They've never known me to have a job, work for another man. So legacy is a big deal. And that's why I started the brand of the coffee. The home of the hustle is really how it started. But I've been self-employed for 23 years now. Started 2003. So I started out like most of us, like yourself and I, we grew up back in the 1900s. Parents told us get an education, get a career. Really, the end goal was to get a pension and a retirement. That's gone nowadays. That's not going to happen. So the last job that I had, I started when I was 18 years old. I was a welder. And if you know what a bobcat is, it's a skid steer. It's a machine to move dirt. So I was a welder. Started my last job, Valentine's Day, 1994, employee 5331. And I ain't had that damn job for 23 years. But I still remember my employee number because that's what I felt like. So what was really important about starting at 18 is they had a 30-year retirement. I was living the dream, doing what I was told was the goal to get a job with a pension. So I did that shortly after I started there. The company got sold to Fiat New Holland. They changed retirement and benefits. And why that matters is because they had a 30-year retirement. I was going to retire at 48 with full pension, benefits, insurance. And they said, well, young man, we appreciate you, but you're going to have to work till you're 55 no matter what. And so that really kind of broke my rose-colored glasses on this dream that I've been sold and realized, it wasn't really my dream, it's somebody else's. And so I realized, I've worked really hard for somebody else. I've proven that I can show up every day. I'm not afraid of hard work. And so out here in the Midwest, I'm from central Kansas. When you say Kansas, most people say, oh, Kansas City. I was like, no, jackass. We're 3.5 hours. There's a whole state. not just Kansas City. So I'm right in the middle of Kansas, the Tornado Alley. So I knew guys that did paintless dent repair. They fixed hail damage on cars without painting them, and they made really good money. So I looked at that, and I looked at my work history already, and said, that's just simply working with your hands with metal. And I was like, my hands are really smart and talented because I worked, as a welder. It's kind of some craftsmanship there. So um, I had a buddy of mine that was into it, and it kind of missed the opportunity to train with him. Back then, it was really expensive, so maybe $40,000 plus 40% of your first year's income. So I missed the opportunity to train with him. But kind of like in sales, it's kind of cool. Who else do you know, or how? So he told me about his videotape. Went out. I bought a $100 VHS tape on how to fix hail damaged cars. I would go home, watch this videotape, and then I would drive to town to my dad's shop and work on like scrap parts to be able to learn this trade. Took a couple years off and on to finally get it, and then in March of 2003, I volunteered for a layoff because there were some really big storms. It was the right time of the year, and just as the quote says, I quit my job and I beat the damn street so hard, I swear I get a bill for the potholes someday.
Love that quote. Love that quote that you've got. So basically, if we were to sum Frank up, you're a hardworking man who's made success happen.
Yeah, yeah. I say all the time, make a decision and then you make the decision right. So whether the decision was the correct one or not, you outwork it. You can't undo a bad decision, but you can outwork one. And that's just been my life.
Tell me a bad decision. You might not look back and say it was a bad decision now because you outworked it. Tell me
Yeah.
a bad decision you made when you went, crap, that was a bad decision and had to outwork it, Frank.
Yeah, it's like one of them was early on. I worked for a body shop because a lot of what I do is I subcontract out to body shops. If there's a body shop in your area, they normally don't do this in house. It takes somebody that's specialized like myself to come in and do this. So I worked for a shop down in Enid, Oklahoma, and it taught me a lot about the details. So I worked on this vehicle for this body shop. We normally work out a commission or a percentage as a subcontractor, and so did the job. Nothing was ever said. When I finished a job, usually we inspect it. So this is early on too. I didn't have my skills weren't what they are nowadays. But when I got done, they said, "Well, you missed a bunch of stuff, so we're not going to pay you." And I said, "Well, that's no problem. I'll drive down. I'll fix whatever you got, whatever I missed, whatever is there. I'll take care of it." And they just adamant went, "No, it's just down the road. Customer's not happy. Blah blah blah." Well, come to find out, is one of the employees' mom or something is related in house. But the thing I learned about that also is that I didn't take down a VIN number, a customer, owner of the car, so I didn't have a lot of ways to get my money or have retribution or file some kind of legal action. So that taught me a couple things, to trust the energy, and then also, some of the details, they do matter.
Absolutely. Right. Always watch for those little details, right?
Yeah.
Be careful who you're trusting when you're trusting until they've earned the opportunity to fully be trusted. That doesn't mean you have to be evil about it, yet you need to have eyes wide open.
Yeah. Trust, but verify.
There you go. Trust but verify. We've all heard it many, many times before. Frank, how many different jobs, companies, businesses have you built over the years? We've got a hail damage repair. We know we've got a coffee company. What else in there has Frank done, built on his own, just to show people that, hey, entrepreneurs will keep doing different things until they find the one that's just right, or hell, they'll have multiple ones that work together.
Yeah, so the coffee is a great example of that. So that actually started as a Facebook page where we're doing just like what we're doing right here. I at a point I realized if I call myself a man, a leader, a king of my family and my domain, my life, it's really irresponsible of me to have my entire lifestyle dependent on my ability to work. If I break my damn pinky, I can't work
Right.
and earn money for my family. So I had some, we'll say, some learning relationships before I met my soulmate, and that was really costly. So I didn't have a chance to really focus and build a portfolio of either like rentals or something. It was a mindset change from income to profits and dividends, just different thinking about money. So that's why I started Home of the Hustle, a Facebook page where I would do live interviews like this. And I wanted to build an e-commerce, something online, and I didn't know how to do it. So I would just like we're doing right now. I would talk to people that had results, had success in those areas, and that's a big key, especially nowadays with social media and the Lambos and the jets and vacations, whatever. Trust but verify. You want to follow people that have results. So we would ask people that had results selling millions of dollars of stuff online, and I would interview them. And what I noticed is that I built a network of people that really know what they're doing, but then also we built up a following of people that knew us, they liked us, and trust us, and we never really had a product to sell. So it was never my intention to sell coffee.
Do you
So,
even drink it, Frank?
oh yeah, yeah,
Okay, just
yeah.
checking. I mean, you might not even drink it and say, "Hey, it's a good product for me to sell," though.
I couldn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. If I'm going to promote it, I have to drink it and I have to like it, and so that's all part of the story. I say all the time: show up, find friends, and do cool shit, and get shit done. And there's probably in your area there's events every week called Million Cups, and it's a weekly event where entrepreneurs, business owners show up, and they have maybe two people that present their business story in about a 5-minute story, and then do a Q&A. So I started going to these events, and I met some guys over in Wichita. It's about 30 minutes from where I live. That they have a co-packing company making canned coffee, and they were a kind of a new startup. We become friends. And at the time, my first brand was a beard oil because you asked me about my beard when we started.
Yep.
Uh,
Folks, he's got a beard as long as me. Right? I know you don't get
yeah,
to see Frank right. He's got one of those. He's got the Santa Claus beard going right now.
yeah, it's getting there. It was a little more red a few years ago, but it's the white's kind of trickling in. Um, and so I met these guys. They're really cool guys. And my first brand was that beard oil. And so they bought beard oil from me. And one of the things that I noticed in that beard oil market is that if it's a all natural beard oil, they use essential oils to create the aromas. And all the aromas were around fake machismo bullshit. Whiskey barrel this, tobacco that, skinny pants, a flannel shirt, and you're a man. Hear me roar. Um, so we made these beard oils that would either help you sleep. We had one that would appetite suppressant. We called it Skinny Craig, kind of like Jenny Craig.
There you go.
And then we had a daytime one help you focus called Get Shit Done. And so they bought beard oil from me, and I bought coffee beans from them for personal use. And I one day I had about 4 or 5 bags of their coffee beans laying on my desk, and I had ordered Get Shit Done stickers to give away with the beard oil that was on a totally different website, totally different brand. If you're listening to this, go to the YouTube or wherever posted on video. I can show you this. But I had a bag of their coffee sitting on my table, and I had some Get Shit Done stickers that I give away with beard oil orders. I put it on a bag of coffee, posted it on Facebook, and because I had this Home of the Hustle entrepreneur audience, people were like, "Dude, are you selling Get Shit Done coffee? How do I buy it?" So I put stickers on the 5 bags that I had sitting there, sold it to them, called my friends, said, "Hey, can I private label your coffee?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, that's what we do." So I started selling coffee beans and coffee grinds. Um, and then eventually we got into the canned coffee because that's their main business is co-packing, making coffee for other people, but then they also had their own in-house brand. And so I was already drinking some of their coffees for my, personally. And so about 6 months after selling the grinds and the beans, I was like, well, how do we make a canned coffee? So they gave me the ways, the options to get started. And again, so I licensed one of their flavors because to have my own proprietary formula would have been $20,000-$30,000 right before they even produced a can of coffee. So they were doing a run September of 2020, and so we made a pallet of Get Shit Done coffee with their run, and it was about 3,000 cans. and sold all of it in 5 weeks with no ads, just straight organic, beat in the street guerrilla marketing.
Folks, that's what it's all about. Meet in the streets, guerrilla marketing. How many of you are sitting hiding behind something right now, just waiting for people to find you and buy your service, your product? Since we have so many entrepreneurs here, you're just waiting for people to find you. Your job is go let them know what you're selling because they probably want it. And if they don't, you're selling the wrong thing, just so you know, or you're selling it to the wrong people. Frank, I'm looking at your website. It's homeofthehustle.com.
Correct.
So, folks, you can check out homeofthehustle.com that Frank's been talking about. He's got a little perk, right? Homeofthehustle.com/podcast. You get a little extra if you want from Frank here while you're listening. Frank, one of the things I love, I'm looking at one of the cans of coffee right now on your website, and it says on the back of the can, maybe it's even the front of the can, I don't know, but it says it on the can, do it scared until you can do it skilled.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so one of my friends that I've met through the Home of the Hustle Facebook page, his parents have a printing business, and he's taken over the printing business. He's doing some other entrepreneur type business things, and he said he's wanting to do this new business, this new deal, but he's scared. And I'm pretty frank, I'm pretty blunt. And I say, well, shit, just do it scared until you can do it skilled. And where that comes from is, I'm 50 years old, and since my 20s, I've raced motocross, raced dirt bikes, at a regionally at a pretty high level. So I put myself in danger's way a bunch. And I thought about, the where that comes from is, when we race dirt bikes, we'll jump 100-foot jump for laps, lap after lap after lap. And sometimes, like, there's this one track that's close by, you would have to hit a jump out of a corner, and when you're in the air, you shift up to the next gear while you're in the air, and you hit the ground pinned until you take off in the next jump. So the first time,
whatever that meant, I'll accept your description.
Yeah, so you hit the first
obstacle. Not easy.
Yeah, but the premise of the story is that when you're taking off of that jump the first time, pinned full throttle, you're scared shitless. You're holding on super tight. You stop breathing because you're holding your breath, because you don't know exactly what it's going to take, what it's going to look like when you're flying through the air to make that jump. And so the first time I did it, man, I was scared. But after I'd done it 10 times, what you'll find out is once you take off from that jump, it's out of your control. And you can relax your hands, you can breathe, you can look around, because you've done it enough times, you've practiced properly, that it's become more instinct, and you can move around and relax while you're flying 100 feet through the air, 20 feet up in the air. And so that's where do it scared until you can do it skilled comes from.
All right. So, folks, if you're not scared doing it, it's not a big enough challenge for you. And the job I'm hearing from Frank is do it scared. Yeah. Be petrified, be nervous, be whatever that term is for you. If it's not, you're actually literally scared, but be nervous about it, be challenged by it until you've done it so many times, you are skilled at it, because then people will come to you wondering, hey, how do you do that? Because that's so scary to me. That's what I'm hearing from you there, Frank, right? Jump in. If you're, hey, you want to open a coffee business? Be scared when you get going. I'm looking at Frank in his place. He's got his International Distribution Center, which is where we're filming from today. That's where he had the opportunity to be. Folks, he is surrounded by cans of coffee. Surrounded by cans of coffee. And I'm going to believe they don't stay there that long before they go out and the next batch comes in. Yet he was probably scared when he got that first shipment and looked at his wife and said, yeah, honey, I just spent this much money for a bunch of cans of coffee, right? There was probably scared. Now it's probably skilled.
Yeah, we balance each other out pretty well, because she's scared enough for both of us. Um,
Well, one of the things I read in your notes, I do get brief notes on you. One of the things I read, Frank, was you've got this headline that says, "My kingdom, her castle,
yeah.
our empire."
Yep.
A lot of our entrepreneurs do have challenges in relationships because
Hmm.
entrepreneurs naturally do, because they're go, 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 go. And there's no stability because of it until you get it to a certain point. Talk to me about this: "My kingdom, her castle, our empire."
Yeah. So that's a principle of mine. In there's a saying that goes, um, shit, I just lost it here. Practice, principles are just foundations. So my kingdom, her castle, and it's just a paradigm in our relationship, and it's kind of staying in your own lane. And what I've found, and it's biblical. I'm a follower of Christ, so that's helped out a bunch. So my kingdom, her castle, it isn't like a patriarchy, but it means that in our marriage, I'm the breadwinner of the family when it comes to income. But that doesn't mean I come home and try to rearrange the castle, because that's more or less her domain. She has a job, her own job outside the house, not in the business. But what a lot of friction comes from when guys are Mr. Fix It. They want to come home and try to fix things, change things, instead of just saying, "Hey, how can I help here in the home?" Because when I leave this castle, I go out into the kingdom and I'm slaying dragons all day long. So I don't want to come home and waste energy trying to fight my wife also. I want to come home and help my wife. I want, instead of trying to fix her day, I ask her, "Well, tell me about your day." Instead of saying, "How was your day?" That leaves a good, bad answer. "Tell me about your day." They can't wait to tell you about it. And then I shut up. And a, a big lesson learned was, are you looking for my help with this, or you just want me to listen? And I tell you, guys, if you want to get, with some special treatment from your wife, try that sometime. But if we both of us, so she makes sure that, we have, that I'm fully prepared. She takes care of the home, the meals, all that different stuff, so that when I leave the castle, I'll go out into the kingdom, that together, the two of us are building an empire. And that's just basically building a lifestyle, building a legacy. We have 4 kids between us. I have a son and a daughter. She has 2 daughters, but it's living the example, because kids, they listen to what you do instead of what you say, and so we try to model that not only for our kids but for just our friends and people watching.
Absolutely. What a great way to do it. All right. Creating my own damn luck. This is the thing that I think made me say, I got to get this guy on the podcast. I want to hear about this. Breaking free, you say here, from victimhood to owning your future. That's every entrepreneur, right?
Mhm.
Every entrepreneur is waiting for luck. They're waiting for it to happen. You're saying create your own damn luck. Talk to me about that for a few minutes, Frank.
Yeah, so that's, the assumption is that I'm selling coffee. I'm
Right.
not. Frank Sell, I'm selling my story, just like we're talking right now. I'm selling permission and inspiration, just to say, you know, look at me. I'm not college educated. I'm 50 years old, uh, but that didn't stop me. I took a chance on myself. I have grace with myself to make the mistakes, to take the learnable moments and move forward. So basically, I'm selling permission to get shit done through our brand. Everything is about motivation, kind of like our grinds and the beans and so on. The name on that is Extra Mile Espresso, and my belief is extra mile is just a marketing term. It's just a
Sure.
way. So the only problem with extra mile is thinking that's extra. So if I'm giving my 100%, my all every time, there is no extra mile. So all that motivation is incorporated into the brand, just to show people and tell people that when they get to know us and buy into our story, they'll just say, "Oh, well, he just took one step at a time. He didn't know what he was doing. He wasn't. educated. He didn't know e-commerce, branding, marketing. And so what's really beautiful about this is there's a few people out there that have gone and either moved states or they started their own brands and reached out to me. And they're like, dude, I always get choked up when I talk about this, but they're like, dude, we started this because we watched you. And that to me is what it's all about.
That's leadership,
Yeah.
right? When you're doing something and other people want to follow you, choose to follow you, have success by following you, whether you like it or not, you just became a leader in that. So, Frank, your company isn't this industry of 100 people behind you, you know, packing coffee, grinding coffee, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you are a leader to so many people who are watching. How do you lead virtually to these people? How are you able to provide leadership to people that are choosing to follow you? You might not know them. You might never actually meet some of them. How do you do leadership that way?
It's not really up to me. It's like if people learn something from watching this or hearing this, it's because they're ready to hear it and see it. So I really feel that it's selfish of us to go through an experience in life, because I have a feeling there's a really good book called Dollars Want Me. And one of the messages out of that book that I really like is that God is my supply and my supply is abundant. And it's not prosperity gospel, but what I take from that is that God created everything's already created except the version of you and me that aligns with our purpose and aligns with what we say we want in life. There's unlimited, infinite growth possibilities. So everything is already out there, and just like Black Friday, Cyber Monday is a perfect example. I've dabbled with the email. We have built the brand. We have paid the costs for ads and basically paid to acquire customers. So every customer we've actually paid dollars to acquire them in one way or another, either showing up in person or getting them online to make the transaction. So that's an asset, but I wasn't utilizing it because I don't have the systems built on the back end. So we just hired somebody. So that's one of the biggest things is like, you don't have to know it all. You just have to know who knows it. And can I hire them? Can I pay them for their expertise and expand what I'm doing? And that's just a beautiful thing about it. When you expand, you feed more families, you inspire more people. And that's really what it should be about.
I love Frank knows what it's about to him. Do you know what it's about to you, right? To him,
Mhm.
feeding more families, providing more opportunities to people. What is it to you? Because that's the thing that gets you up in the morning and helps you to get shit done, whether you're drinking the coffee or you're not. You're going to just have that fuel in you when it comes to it. Uh, I mean, that's a great message that we're saying there, Frank. And I'm hearing from Frank again in there. The question to ask yourself each and every day is who? Right? Who do I need? Who is missing? Who's that piece that would make everything better today? Is that an assistant? Is that a partner? Is that a third party company I need to partner with? Is that someone who's an expert at blank that I need to hire? Is it permanent? Is it temporary? It's who. All right. So we've been talking to Frank Sell, and you can find out more homeofthehustle.com, homeofthehustle.com/podcast. Surprise waiting for you there if you want to go check that out. Frank, if I gave you 1 minute to leave us with final thoughts, might be something you've said you want to repeat, might be something that hasn't come up yet that you're like, ooh, Chad, I really want to share this with the Win, Make, Give audience. Frank, you're on the clock for a minute. What do you got?
You're not as good as you think you are, but you're greater than you can think. And that means you haven't invested in your think account, read books, and been around people that can expose to you your greatness and see things in you that skills and qualities that you may not know. And those are the things that are going to build your empire.
Short and sweet, folks. You might be reading a lot of books. That's great. I know our audience are filled with readers. Are you implementing what you're reading, or are you just reading it to say you read a book? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And are you surrounding yourself with those people who are seeing the greatness in you, pulling it out, pushing you to the next level, etc., and more, because that would be part of the who. Frank, I really appreciate you stepping in for Bob today, my new co-host, Frank Sell, joining the Win, Make, Give pod. No, Bob will be back, folks. I don't know when. Something came up and we lost Bob today. That's okay. We love you anyway, wherever you are, Bob Stewart. And folks, until our next episode, as always, do good.